Doctor, when we talk about anti-aging, stress is a big component. Can you talk about how much of a factor sleep or lack of is in that big picture?
Sleep deprivation is really fueling a lot of health problems in a manner that's fairly unobtrusive. Now, somebody who's sleep deprived can even get to the point of psychomotor retardation, where they can even get the blues and move slowly, and they're yawning, and they're a real risk on the roads. In fact, arguably more of a risk than people who are drinking alcohol. There are some studies that show how impaired sleep-deprived drivers actually are. That's what I call the obtrusive side. But we now know that sleep deprivation causes a lot of other issues. For example, if you sleep deprive otherwise healthy adults, they start to get body chemistry like a diabetic. If you sleep deprive healthy individuals, they can have hormonal changes that promote eating. For example, when you measure hormones that control appetite, you sleep deprive individuals, a hormone called ghrelin rises, which causes you to eat, and the hormone leptin falls, which is really a master regulator of weight control. And that's really associated with a common phenomenon, which is fridge raiding in the evening. It's very common. We see, for example, inklings of studies now that show the restoration of sleep pattern alone can induce weight loss with no other intervention whatsoever. So we're now beginning to really touch and feel the consequences of sleep deprivation. Sleep is an active state. It's not an inactive state. We don't get a bang on the head and go to sleep. It's altered brain electrical activity. There are alterations in priming our immune function. There are all kinds of metabolic changes that occur in our body. It's the time at which we lay down our memory. Just a million things going on in sleep. And where we are at the moment is with 100 million Americans who are not sleeping effectively. And over the years, we've lost a couple of hours sleep. We don't know entirely the reason, but probably the most popular theory is switching the lights on, electromagnetic radiation. That's one of the theories. You know, we're light exposed. But here's the issue. The modern approach to sleep maintenance and restoration of sleep biorhythm is now behavioral therapy and other general support like sleep hygiene. But what's happened is the first line option has often been prescribed the drug. And I don't want to pick on branded drugs, but out there the two most popular prescriptions are for Ambien and Lunesta. And these are, you know, multi-million dollar sales of drugs. But I feel, without being just an armchair critic, that jumping to the drug is the wrong thing. Because we now got a lot of nutritional supplements that are pretty effective at restoring sleep patterns. You know, my work on the concept of sleep naturally, and I wrote a book, the title of which is Sleep Naturally. I describe the behavioral changes to restore sleep, the stratified approach, not jumping to the drug. Now, we have a whole group of over-the-counter sleeping drugs, which bother me because if you take antihistamines, what we're using there is the side effect of a drug, drowsiness, to promote sleep. But I wonder about the safety of those drugs, especially in the elderly. They hang around in the body for a long time, so-called long half-life. And you can get confusional states, you can get all sorts of drug side effects, and of course we've seen the emergence with the use of the popular prescription drugs, Ambien and Lunesta. We've seen class action lawsuits against the manufacturers from people having episodes of aberrant behavior, even to the point of allegations that people engaged in sexual impropriety as a consequence of the side effect. It's a little bit hard to put that together, but the bottom line is weight gain is a common problem with some of these drugs. And again, that must be all about this balance of neurohormonal influences that operate on our appetite control system, which is part of a little small area of the brain called the hypothalamus. So I'm looking at sleep now and I'm seeing it as a major problem. And we've inklings now that obviously sleep deprivation is promoting aging. Maybe promoting breast cancer by changing estrogen metabolism, certainly impairing immunity. Sleep deprivation is associated with measurable changes in the immune competency of the body. So again, I'm talking about these unobtrusive things that are emerging here, but what's the first thing we say to ourselves when we haven't had a decent night's sleep? We look in the mirror and say, oh my God, I look old, oh, it's, you know, I look aged. We say that automatically, and there's a lot of sense in that simplistic statement. So I see and have presented before the World Anti-Aging Society lectures on the actual contribution of sleeplessness to aging. So I consider sleeplessness to be a very important component of aging. And it's something that is so important and sometimes so overlooked. One of the best examples I've seen in my own 40 years of clinical experience, and not that I'm a gynecologist, but seeing mature females around the menopause, the first thing that goes through the window is sleep. And if you start messing with hormone balance, if you don't restore the biorhythm of sleep, you're not going anywhere. It's very important to restore the biorhythm of sleep. And also with other menstrual problems like premenstrual syndrome and menstrual dysphoric disorder, you get to the bottom of it and you'll see there's issues of sleep deprivation or abnormal sleep patterns. And so sleep in the past decade now has become a major area of interest, and every community hospital has a sleep center now. And you know, it's becoming a science and speciality upon itself.